Hi YouTube, welcome back. Well, there's a possibility of a frost tonight, so it's cleanup time. Stay tuned. Actually, while I was in Virginia, we had a frost advisory or warning, whichever. We didn't actually get it, but it was really close. It was enough to kill off my basil, but I had already pulled all the good basil before I left anyway, just in case. Everything else was fine. Growth had slowed to a crawl, but it was fine. Mostly I was just waiting for things to ripen up or to finish drying out for seed. But it's supposed to get down to the same temperature, actually a little bit colder. They were only calling for 39 when I was in Virginia, and then they changed it to 36 with a frost warning. Supposed to get down to 36 tonight, well, early morning. They haven't said frost warning yet, but you never know. So, we're pulling stuff out. A lot of stuff. And including pumpkins. So this is also a pumpkin update for the Cherokee Tan Pumpkin. So I've been pulling out all my green tomatoes, all of my green pepper, well, not all of them, but a lot of my green pepper. Some of them I'm going to cover, especially ones that are more bunched together where it's easier to cover them. But now, so far, I've got a lot of my cucumbers and beans, green tomatoes, green peppers. We're not done yet, but the pumpkins, well, let's just go ahead and do the pumpkin update right now. So the one on the fence was the slowest to get started, but it did finally pick up. And as you can see, it got one pumpkin, and just recently. So it's very, very, very green. But it's the only one growing on this whole vine, so I'm going to pull it. I read that you can eat immature pumpkins like squash, so I'm going to try it with a couple of these. Well, they're never going to have time to finish ripe. They're not even mature. They're not going to ripen, so I'm going to try and eat it like squash. We'll see. Now, the pumpkin in the tree, I let it go around the base of the tree once, almost all the way, so it could grow more roots, get a little bit stronger. And then I started training it up the tree. And it went around the tree, and then lost hold of the branches and came down to the ground, and I couldn't get it to go back up. So it just kind of fell to the ground, and it never made any pumpkins. None. So it's coming out today. As for the 3 pumpkins planted in the ground, left to just sprawl, they went massive. That way, they go all the way down to the hedges, and then that's the neighbors on the hedges and over is the neighbors. So we got them turned around, and they're actually going behind the big bush there. Down here, they're going up over my herb bed. They're going up into the trellis for the runner beans, and they're just massive. I would prefer to cover them because they will store better if they are covered through the frost as opposed to bringing them in to finish ripening. But that's just too much. I don't have that many sheets and blankets and stuff. I can't do it. So I also need to get into that herb bed to cut some stuff out before frost. So I'm going to cut this half of it out, and the immature pumpkins will cook up like the other one, like a squash. And the ones that are mature enough to maybe finish ripening in the house, I'll put those. They say put them in sunlight, although they've only started to ripen on the bottom where they're not getting sunlight, so I don't know if they really need the sunlight or not. But I'm going to stick them in the window and try and get them to ripen in the house. And then the other half over there, I'm going to try and cover. But I also need to cover my peanuts because they're not done either. And yeah, go figure. All this stuff that normally isn't grown this far north. Go figure. But I was prepared to cover some stuff. I knew this was inevitability, basically. It's just tonight, and then it's supposed to be warmer so far for like the next week. We'll see if it really turns out that way because they change the weather forecast every single day. Hi, love.
Hey.
Also, it's time for the sunflowers to get cut down. I've already got all the beans that were up them that I can reach pulled off. There's a whole lot of dry beans up there. So we need to cut it down. I'm going to try and dry the stalks without the heads on. Just the stalks, and see if I can use them next year for something. But the heads, I want to save the seeds, and I got to get the beans off of them. And it's all coming down. Lots of stuff coming out today. It's going to look pretty bare afterwards. Kind of sad. We're almost done for the night. It looks so different. I got a few things covered, but I ran out of sheets. So I cut all the pumpkin. So all the pumpkin is gone. All of the tomatoes, green tomatoes, have been picked. Some of the peppers have been picked. Some of them I got covered. I still need to take some cuttings of the herbs and get some of this oregano that I can now get to since we cut the pumpkin out. Get some of that drying. We've got all the beans are gone. I didn't get this trellis down, but we did get the purple arch one down. We got the pumpkin out of the tree. We got some of the tomatoes down, but the sun was starting to go down, so we needed to hurry up and get stuff covered, and we'll just have dead vines hanging on the thing for tomorrow, whatever. So we've got peppers that I covered here. There was one pepper plant in the corner. That's what's got a stake on it. And then all the rest of that there was peanut. That is another pepper plant. And then there's pepper and more peanuts. Oh yeah, and there is a peanut with that pepper too. But it's peppers and peanuts and peppers and peanuts. But I've got those covered. I went ahead and pulled the 3 peanut plants that were over here by themselves, and those got the least amount of light, so they were a little more stressed and they were growing more slowly than everything else. And I had a fair amount of peanuts on those, so I'm really hopeful on the other ones if the sheets work and protect them tonight. I pulled all the cucumbers off the plant, but I didn't pull the plant down yet. Pulled all my bush beans. I cut off the sunflowers and pulled all the beans. Pulled the beans off of the tomato plants over there. Tim got to mow over here almost everywhere, which he had been dying to do for months because, well, you couldn't get to a lot of it through the plants. We pulled out the kids' stuff, except for their carrots. There's still some carrots in there, but those will be fine, obviously. We pulled out all the watermelons, so Kara harvested her last couple of watermelons. I pulled out the dead melon plants, and that looks very different. It looks clean, but a little sad. But all this got mowed down, and we started filling up the empty bed. I pulled out all my zucchini. They were sick anyway. And yes, we burned those. And I pulled out the eggplant and what else did I pull out? Some pepper plants. And my chamomile had died. I don't know if it's going to come back up since I'm filling this bed more. Oh, you can't see it. There you go. But we were putting the grass clippings and the leaves. He just mowed over top of a lot of the leaves and a lot of the plants that I was pulling out. The softer stuff, not hard woody things. But he just mowed over it to chop it up, and we put it down here so it can sit and compost all winter long. I think that's about it to show you inside. So I'm going to finish cutting the herbs, and then we'll go count the pumpkins. 23 pumpkins total. 22 off of the 3 plants in the ground. So those 3 pumpkins in the ground that I didn't think would do that well made 22 pumpkins by themselves. I got a lot of stuff to do now. So I'm going to go get started on that. You have a good night. Remember, life's an adventure. Thanks for joining me in mine. God bless.
God bless.